Budget 2013 was a wasted opportunity. The government had the opportunity to tackle youth unemployment and to try and get the very high numbers of young people that aren't in education, employment or training into some meaningful scheme, but they refused to do that. With 37% of young people under 18 at high risk of poverty or social exclusion, and when Ireland has one of the highest rates of young people not in education, employment or training in the EU, this government should have stimulated the economy, but refused to do so.
And just in terms of young people who are, say, on social welfare, who are trying to get into, maybe training or education, what are the effects going to be for them?
Well, first of all, I would have very grave concerns for cuts to the schemes that help young people transition from social welfare to education or training. And what we will find is those cuts, those schemes such as VTOS, will hinder people who are trying to actually get back into education or training. Similarly, the €300 cut back to education allowance is going to hinder those people who are already in education or training. It will stop them, or it could have the effect that it would actually stop them from staying in education and training, because the cost of doing so will be so high for them given the high cost of living currently. And indeed, the job seekers proposals, I think, fall very short. The €48 million that the government announced is piecemeal, and it's just schemes already announced, that have already been announced, or schemes that are already existing. I think it was an empty gesture, and I don't think it will go very far to address the really high problem of youth unemployment that we currently have in this state.
And yourself and your Sinn Féin colleagues have put forward obviously your alternative budget, and you also put forward a youth jobs proposal. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the youth jobs proposal is part of our €13 billion stimulus jobs plan that was also recently announced. And as part of that, we use stimulus to tackle the issue of youth unemployment, given that there has been no stimulus thus far into our economy, which is why we have such high levels of youth unemployment and emigration. Among our proposals, for example, would be increasing and modernising the number of CE schemes, and indeed opening them up to under 25-year-olds, because currently only in exceptional circumstances are under 25-year-olds allowed to actually partake. So if we modernise these schemes, put them in the national framework of qualifications and opened it up to under 25s, we would find that not only would we have more young people being able to upskill and retrain, but we'd have a far greater dispersal nationally, because we have very high levels of rural unemployment as well, and these schemes are often the only schemes, unemployment schemes, to actually help those in rural areas. Furthermore, we have proposals, for example, of lifting the retirement age, or reversing the increase in the retirement age, which is blocking tens of thousands of young people from taking up jobs. And similarly, in order to help the agri-food sector, we would actually lift the ban on the early retirement scheme, so that young people can actually get into the agri-food sector and really help that indigenous industry.